What's up guys, T-Mart here, and today I've got a huge video for you guys, lots of good information here. We are going to be talking about what in the world is going on with the class system in Call of Duty World War II. Perks are no more. Create a class has been replaced. What the heck is a division? That is all the stuff we are going to be talking about in this video. So hope you guys are excited. Drop a like on the video. And also I want to give a shout out to Barney Great and Braden Smith. These guys are a part of the notification squad. If you guys want to be a part of it as well, make sure to tap that bell so you're notified every single time that I upload a video. Now, let's talk about this thing because this is crazy. So last week, Sledgehammer announced that Create a Class was going to be replaced by divisions. And, while normally, kind of pushing the boundaries and bringing in new features and freshening things up is welcomed, this had a lot of people very, very concerned, including myself, because Create a Class is a staple of Call of Duty. It's one of the reasons why we love it. It's one of the things that makes Call of Duty unique because it gives you all of that customization to completely outfit your class and your character with weapons and abilities that fit your playstyle. And the idea of having that removed is really, really scary. However, it's not as bad as it sounds. There's still a ton of customization there, and honestly, in some ways, there are even more options for you to really hone in on your specific playstyle. So in terms of weapon customization, it appears that it's the exact same that we've seen in previous years. You choose your primary, you put attachments on there, choose your secondary, put attachments on there, choose your equipment, stuff like that. One question I have gotten a lot is, what did I see in terms of camos? We didn't see any camos on any of the weapons in this version of the game. That's not to say they're not going to be there. I definitely think they will. They just weren't available in this version we were playing. And so all of that's the same. The biggest difference is that there are no perks. There are no perks in Call of Duty World War II, at least in the form that we're used to. So there's not like a perk 1 slot and then a perk 2 slot and a perk 3 slot where you choose perks and use wild cards to get more perks and stuff like that. That's not how it works. Perks are completely tied in with the 5 divisions. So there are 5 different divisions in the game, and from what I can tell, these 5 divisions are split up based on the type of weapon you're going to be using. So if you choose infantry, you've got assault rifles, airborne is for SMGs, armored is for LMGs, mountain is for snipers, and then expeditionary is for shotguns. And these divisions, like I said, they choose what type of weapon you're going to be using, but they also give you all kinds of special abilities. Like it's almost a mix of perks, pro perks from Modern Warfare 2, and then also wild cards. It's really, really unique, really interesting. So a division is made up of 3 different qualities. You've got your division skill, your division training, and then your basic training. And the first 2 there, the division skill and the division training, are unlocked and enhanced throughout your progression within that division. It's kind of like a pro perk. So like as you do well and as you complete challenges and stuff within that division, those abilities are going to be enhanced and you're going to get better stuff. So like back in Modern Warfare 2, you had Marathon, which gave you unlimited sprint. And then once you completed some challenges, one of which was like sprint for 26 miles or something crazy like that, then you got Marathon Pro, which you still had your unlimited sprint, but you also had the ability to mantle quicker. So it's kind of like that. Like as you play within that division, as you accomplish more, you're going to get better stuff for it. So like for example, in the infantry division, we have the bayonet division skill. So normally in this game, when you melee somebody to the front, it's going to take 2 hits to kill. But if you have the bayonet division skill, you put a bayonet on the end of your assault rifle and it turns it into a 1-hit melee, which is obviously pretty effective. So you start off with just a straight up bayonet. That's all you have. Then as you progress in that division and you advance that division skill to its next stage, you learn the bayonet charge. And this is where when you hold the melee button, you get a little speed boost and you kind of run in a straight line to go charge somebody. It's pretty effective. It does have a long cooldown time, but it's pretty good. And then you can advance it again to the next stage where you get a longer bayonet charge. Like you won't run out of stamina as quickly and stuff like that. So that's kind of how it works. So when you have a division that you really like and you play with it a lot and you accomplish a lot with it, you're going to slowly over time get better skills and better abilities and stuff like that. So I find this pretty interesting. Like, I'm actually excited about it. I am going to miss perks. It was nice to be able to, explicitly choose exactly which ability you wanted, use it on any class. There were no restrictions. This new system is still kind of cool. It adds a little bit of depth to the game because you have your normal player progression where you have your rank and you rank it up and you prestige and stuff like that. But you also have this progression within your divisions. So as you're playing, as you're ranking up, you're also kind of evolving your divisions and earning these new abilities and molding your character to your favorite type of playstyle. It makes the progression a little bit more meaningful and makes the game a little bit deeper, which I think is kind of cool. So those are the first two qualities of a division. You've got that division skill as well as the division training, and those are specific to that division. Those can't be moved around between different divisions. There is a third quality called basic training, and this is not locked to a division. So this is essentially the closest thing we have to a perk. So you unlock these basic training abilities as you rank up, and they can be used on any division, any class, with no restrictions. So there you guys have it. That is how the whole division system works in Call of Duty World War II. I realize that was a lot to take in, probably a little bit confusing. If you guys have any questions, feel free to leave comments down below. I will answer some of those, but it's, you know, there's still a lot of customization there. It's not to be worried about as much as some people were worrying. So now that we know how all of that works, let's talk about some of these specific abilities and skills and trainings and stuff like that we had available in this version of the game. Now, obviously, this is a super early version of the game. Some of this stuff is going to change. It's not written in stone by any means, so don't take this to heart, but it'll be kind of cool to walk through and talk about some of the stuff that we saw and some of the stuff we could expect in November. So starting off with division skills, we saw one from each division. So for infantry, we had the bayonet charge, which, as I mentioned earlier, normally in this game, a melee is 2 hits if you're hitting somebody in the front. I don't know about the back. I'm not sure if you have assassinations. I didn't get the chance to test that, but if you have the bayonet on your assault rifle in the infantry division, it becomes a 1-hit melee, which is kind of cool. For the airborne division, we had the suppressor skill, which that's the one you guys saw in my gameplay and in the trailer and stuff like that, where you can toggle a suppressor on and off of your weapon, which is really, really cool. It's really useful, but also it has to be used sparingly. I think you guys may have seen in my gameplay on that the point du hoc kind of like trench map, sometimes I was switching the suppressor on and off too much and ended up getting caught with my pants down where I couldn't shoot the enemy because my hands were on the end of my gun, you know, twisting it off. So you got to be really careful of that, but it's still a pretty cool ability. Next up, we've got the armored skill, which is mountable bipod. So armored is LMGs. Of course, you're going to have bipods on there. You can set those things up, I believe, in Windows and on the ground, which is kind of cool. So it locks you down, obviously. You can't strafe around and move around, but it makes your recoil less. So obviously that's pretty useful. For the mountain division or the snipers, we had sharpshooter, and this is one of the most interesting changes I've seen so far. So when you have this skill and you've got your sniper, when you ADS, when you're not holding your breath, you have peripheral vision. You can see on the outsides of the scope. Then when you hold your breath, that blacks out. Enemies' names will start popping up, and you get auto aim. So that's kind of interesting, right? Like that's a different take on snipers we haven't seen before. And it's also really interesting because let's say you're not using this skill. Like let's say you're using an entirely different division. Let's say you're running around with an SMG in the airborne division. You see a sniper on the ground and you pick it up. Does that mean that even when you're aiming down sight, you're never gonna have auto aim with that sniper because it's tied to that sharpshooter skill? I don't know, kind of interesting, right? So that one's pretty weird. And then finally for expeditionary, for the shotguns, we had the incendiary shells skill, which you guys saw in the trailer. So you can choose to toggle over to incendiary shells. I think usually you had 2 of them available, and then that's a shell that lights enemies on fire. Very, very effective, very cool, very fun to use. Now, next up, let's talk about division training. So this is another thing that's tied specifically to your division. We saw a few of these. For infantry, we had Infantryman 3, which gave you 2 extra attachments on your primary and 1 on your secondary. And notice how it's Infantryman 3. That means that it's on the 3rd stage of that training. So, you know, you start off with Infantryman 1, obviously it's not going to be quite as good as that. But next up for Airborne, we had Pathfinder 3, which allowed you to sprint longer and faster, as well as mantle faster. That was really, really useful on the SMG classes. Armored had Tanker 3, which gave you a rocket launcher as a secondary, extra equipment, and allows you to throw your equipment faster and farther while sprinting. So you turn into a demolitions expert with that. For Mountain, we had Scout 3, which increased minimap coverage, which the minimap in this game is really, really small, if you guys haven't noticed. It's that tiny little circle, kind of weird. But yeah, it increased your minimap coverage. You can acquire names from farther, and you stay hidden from player-controlled kill streaks, so it's kind of a form of Ghost in a way. And then finally, for Expeditionary, we had Sapper 3, which gave you extra magazines, you were immune to tacticals, and you could take less explosive damage. So those are all the skills and trainings and things that are locked to the division. Now, we also had basic trainings, which, like I said, you can use on any division that you want. So these things are the closest things that we have to perks, and some of these are really, really interesting. So starting off, we've got Steady, which makes you immune to tacticals, and you can sprint longer. Hunker reveals enemy equipment and you take less explosive damage. Smoked gives you an extra lethal as well as smoke as a tactical. Phantom, which is going to be one of the best ones, gives you quieter movement, no fall damage, and makes you invisible to recon aircraft while moving. So this is the ultimate stealth ability. This is going to be one of the most widely used basic trainings. Basically, this is a mix of Dead Silence and Ghost. And one thing I do want to point out is it does say quieter movement. It doesn't say completely quiet movement. So it sounds like even with this Phantom perk, you're still going to be able to sound horde people, which is always a big question every single year. Next up, we've got Loaded, which gives you extra magazines and you can reload faster, so that one's pretty good. Scoped is going to be another huge one. This allows you to move faster while aiming down sight and gives you an extra attachment on your primary weapon. So stock has always been a really, really good attachment in Call of Duty, especially in recent years. It's critical to have, especially in competitive. And now stock is a basic training. Like that's how you can move faster while aiming down sights. It's not an attachment you put on your weapon, which is really interesting. Bit of a change there, but still okay. Next up, we've got Undercover, which allows you to kill without revealing enemy death locations, and you have no name when you're targeted, so another stealthy type one. Forage allows you to swap weapons faster, throw equipment faster, and resupply from dead enemies. So this is crazy. This is like Scavenger on steroids. Like resupplying is what Scavenger does. Then on top of that, you get to swap weapons faster and throw equipment faster, which is kind of cool. Ordnance allows you to, it's kind of like Hardline where score streaks cost less and you can re-roll care packages. And then finally we saw Duelist, which gives you 2 attachments on your secondary weapon, which I can't ever imagine needing that, but it's in there. So those are the basic trainings that we saw in this version of the game. That's definitely not the final list. I'm sure there are going to be more, and I'm sure some of these may end up being changed, but it gives you an idea of what this is all about. I mean, these things are like, some of these are multiple perks mixed together, which is really, really interesting. So that's it, guys. There you guys have it. That's kind of a first look at how this division system is going to work. Like I said, a lot of people, myself included, were very, very concerned with the removal of created class, but I don't see it as that big of a deal. We still have the weapon customization, and the perks and wild cards and pro perks and stuff are all just mixed up in this weird way in divisions. But just because it's weird, just because it's different, doesn't mean it's not going to be good. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm going to catch you guys later. Bunch more World War II videos coming soon, so make sure you guys are subscribed and make sure you guys check back. Thanks for watching, guys. Peace out.